Can you hear me? Check. Launching now, actually.
My fellow Americans,
I want my picture in the corner.
about the troubling events of the past
I haven't even been drinking today.
As I have said, the incursion of the U.S. Capitol struck at the very heart of our republic. It angered and appalled millions of Americans across the political spectrum. I want to be very clear. I unequivocally condemn the violence that we saw last week. Violence and vandalism have absolutely no place in our country and no place in our movement. Making America great again has always been about defending the rule of law, supporting the men and women of law enforcement, and upholding our nation's most sacred traditions and values. Mob violence goes against everything I believe in and everything our movement stands for. No true supporter of mine could ever endorse political violence. No true supporter of mine could ever disrespect law enforcement or our great American flag. No true supporter of mine could ever threaten or harass their fellow Americans. If you do any of these things, you are not supporting our movement. You are attacking it, and you are attacking our country. We cannot tolerate it. Tragically, over the course of the past year, made so difficult because of COVID-19, We have seen political violence spiral out of control. We have seen too many riots, too many mobs, too many acts of intimidation and destruction. It must stop. Whether you are on the right or on the left, a Democrat or a Republican, there is never a justification for violence. No excuses, no exceptions. America is a nation of laws. Those who engaged in the attacks last week will be brought to justice. Now I am asking everyone who has ever believed in our agenda to be thinking of ways to ease tensions, calm tempers, and help to promote peace in our country. There has been reporting that additional demonstrations are being planned in the coming days, both here in Washington and across the country. I have been briefed by the U.S. Secret Service on the potential threats. Every American deserves to have their voice heard in a respectful and peaceful way. That is your First Amendment right. But I cannot emphasize that there must be no violence, no law breaking, and no vandalism of any kind. Everyone must follow our laws and obey the instructions of law enforcement. I have directed federal agencies to use all necessary resources to maintain order. In Washington, D.C., we are bringing in thousands of National Guard members to secure the city and ensure that a transition can occur safely and without incident. Like all of you, I was shocked and deeply saddened by the calamity at the Capitol last week. I want to thank the hundreds of millions of incredible American citizens who have responded to this moment with calm, moderation, and grace. We will get through this challenge, just like we always do. I also want to say a few words about the unprecedented assault on free speech we have seen in recent days. These are tense and difficult times. The efforts to censor, cancel, and blacklist our fellow citizens are wrong, and they are dangerous. What is needed now is for us to listen to one another, not to silence one another. All of us can choose by our actions to rise above the rancor and find common ground and shared purpose. We must focus on advancing the interests of the whole nation, delivering the miracle vaccines, defeating the pandemic, rebuilding the economy, protecting our national security, and upholding the rule of law. Today I am calling on all Americans to overcome the passions of the moment and join together as one American people. Let us choose to move forward united for the good of our families, our communities, and our country.
I unmuted myself.
God bless you.
Because I can do that.
God bless America. I would like to begin by addressing the heinous attack.
Shut up.
It's a little hot.
Who's hot?
It's a little hot.
What's hot?
The background music's a little hot.
Oh, yeah, it's almost over. Alrighty. Jacob V Weekly. Back to Wednesday when we like to be live on Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook right now. Felt inspired to jump. I could have waited till Friday because I tried to do a whole week in between, but I was late last week because I literally thought I had COVID. I tested positive for. It's a controversial thing right now. You don't even know what to say anymore. Al Ludwig is joining us right here at the top of the show. I do not want to miss out on Alfred, and he is a busy, busy man, and so we wanted to pop right on. Al, you probably couldn't hear it, but at the beginning of the show, I was playing Trump's pre-recorded statement that came out today about the vague reference to violence last week and his First Amendment kind of plight. I also have a nice styrofoam cup from Dirt Cheap. I had to go get ice because I've been giving up the Diet Coke, so I've been drinking so much LaCroix, but on ice, and so we've been going through ice like nobody's business. I'm getting an ice maker. It's on the way. It's happening.
It's a necessary accoutrement for any well-stocked home at this point.
Accoutrement.
Accoutrement.
It said I should have taken French, and I didn't. So, Al, I wanted to start with the part that's going to be really important for today, and that's going to be, and don't worry, I have your nice picture up here on the screen. It is good. You look young, vibrant. You don't look bad now.
It's you know, I was a few pounds lighter a few years younger.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, weren't we both? You know what I'm saying? Anyway, so just sort of with the breaking news this morning or this afternoon, really, it was happening live that the House passes new articles of impeachment, making Trump the first president to ever be impeached twice. Congress has all gone home, though, so no chance of a trial before the inauguration next week. And then he released the statement we just played at the top of the show, which seemed really inspecific, and I don't think QAnon Shaman's going to back down on that one.
He's got to get his organic, you know.
He's in jail eating Whole Foods in prison, and he's 31 years old, and his mom had to advocate for him to get his tuna roll.
Well, it's good parenting. It's good parenting.
Well, he still lives with her, so if she's been feeding him his whole life, he may interpret this as all part of the plan, right? Like we're going underground, brother. Like, you know what I mean? David Spade's wearing an ankle bracelet. That's my favorite part.
He's my favorite poster child for the movement, and the best comment I saw this weekend was essentially that, you know, this is what happens when Fish isn't on tour anymore. Is that these guys don't have anything else to do, so they turn to QAnon.
Yeah, you shut down all the festivals, brother. There's no VFW Hall jam bands. You know, these people are going to do something. If you give them all Reddit, you give them all 4chan, and the internet's gotten so fast, the rate to which they can process that data themselves is astronomical.
There's some real truth to that thought. I mean, anyone who's been to these shows, you know, any point in your life, we've seen a lot of these people in the flesh, in a parking lot, at whatever amphitheater, and, you know, the portion of the country that you were in watching this stuff. These guys were selling veggie burritos back 10 years ago.
My friends always make fun of me.
Capitol.
When I wear one of my ponchos, they always make fun of me that I look like I'm selling grilled cheese sandwiches in a parking lot outside of Riverport or some shit. Oh my God, I saw Dave Matthews Band at Riverport one time. There's a reason people do that.
Were you like 12 at the time? Because I might have been at that show.
I was a young adult. I was in college, maybe at oldest. You know, I went with my friend Cameron, and I could have been 19.
Yeah, it's probably after my time it's been long after I fell out of being the Dave Matthews Band.
Well, the scene has not changed at all. They were burning a mighty bush that night, brother. Let me tell you that for nothing. I had the worst trouble today setting all this stuff up, and now it's working like a dream. I'm going to knock on my real wood desk that I bought from a lovely Indian family via the marketplace.
It does sound good. It's much cleaner this time.
What is?
So,
well, you know what?
I have feed everything
because I don't
better.
need to put your video on the actual stream. I can. I have 2 cameras going, and I have. Yeah, it's all working out. I'm kind of like, why do I have the Mac at this point? The Mac may just turn into music production and have nothing to do with the podcast, which I'm okay with.
It's whatever you're doing now is great. Stick with it. That'd be my advice as a lawyer.
Yeah, as my lawyer. So as my lawyer, I wanted to start with some of the legal implications of what is the significance of impeaching a president so late in his presidency, and then but why did they feel like it was important to still fit in?
Well, there's a legal angle to this, and then there's a political angle to it. You know, and some of it is beyond politics. It's really a democratic angle to it. You know, legally, you know, what effect could it possibly have? You know, and you no doubt seen, as we all have, the various reports, which are as of yet unconfirmed by the source, but that Mitch McConnell is, in favor of impeachment. He certainly has come out and said he has not made up his mind, which is the opposite of everything every Republican senator said last time.
Right.
Where they clearly had had decided the
fix was
verdict.
in.
Well, there was no question as to how they were going to vote.
Yeah.
The fact that Mitt Romney voted to convict was a bit of a shock that any Republican broke ranks. Now you have 10 Republicans in the House that broke ranks today to vote for a historic second impeachment. And you've got, rumors certainly that Mitch McConnell is sort of, rubbing his hands in glee for a way to get rid of Trump and to sort of push the dagger in now that he's already down. I don't know if there's any truth to that, but there's definitely a sea change in the way the Republicans are looking at this. So, from a political standpoint, the House, if I'm in the House and I say, is there a chance that this would actually succeed and he's going to be convicted? Yes, there is. Now, it's clear that the Senate's not going to come back into session until after Donald Trump is no longer holds the office of president. So what's going to happen is they're going to have this trial to convict an impeached president after he's no longer in office. And the net effect of that is potentially twofold. So, obviously most people are aware 2/3 of the Senate must, vote to convict any impeached president or any impeached, executive officer who has gone through impeachment in order to convict them. That in and of itself doesn't actually, affect the remedy of whatever it is that the Senate would impose. And from that point, the Senate has the right by a simple majority to impose a number of sanctions on that individual, including, stripping Donald Trump of his lifetime pension, including barring him from holding federal office in the future. So there is a real possibility that, the mainstream Republicans see this as a way to not only, kick Trump while he's down and sort of get back at him for some things that, they haven't liked over the last 4 years, but to take the party back in a way, or at least clear the lane of Donald Trump. If he can't hold office, then, you'll have a Josh Hawley, who I think my opinion about, or a Ted Cruz or somebody, that might take that lane. But it also sort of cleans up because they just don't have the appeal among the base as much as they'd want to. There's no unifying figure there like Donald Trump was that can sweep up all of the right wing based, functionally the people that stormed the Capitol. They're going to show up to vote again if they feel like they've got someone in their corner. But if you divide that lane as a mainstream candidate, you might have a much better chance. So, there's a brewing civil war in the Republican Party, and there's a real political dimension to allowing this to proceed, and perhaps even voting to convict Donald Trump and letting the Senate, which will be a majority, will be evenly split, but the majority is held by the vice president, Kamala Harris, who will break the tie, impose whatever penalties on Donald Trump they see fit at that point once the Senate is actually convicted. Beyond all of that, though, why do this now? He's going to be out of office before you could possibly convict him. And it's above all else, if we do nothing, if we say, the penalty for inciting an insurrection, which I think, barring partisan feelings on this or QAnon sympathies where you just don't acknowledge reality, we have to acknowledge that Donald Trump did more than enough overt actions, statements, what have you, to make a prima facie case at least that he did in fact incite seditious insurrection in the form of storming the Capitol, among other things which I want to talk about before I get off of here. But to let that go and say the punishment for that would be you get to ride off into the sunset. Maybe you get to run for president again in 4 years. You get a $200,000 a year for life pension from the government.
Is that all it is 200?
It's less than you'd think it is.
I mean, thought it was 400, but
you might be right. You might be right, but it's
because 200, bitch. I'm getting a food truck if I'm only making 200. There's a fucking ice cream stand by where I'm from that is only open like Memorial Day to Labor Day, and they make like $300,000 a year. It's totally self-sustained, like crazy. On ice cream, honey. Crazy. So, I mean, and you want to be president.
Well, no.
If it's $200,000, honey.
But, I mean, it's $200,000 for doing jack shit for the rest of your life.
That's a good point. That's a good point. That's a good deal to me. I wish I could start getting some 200. Maybe I should run for office.
I would take it, personally.
Yeah.
I would not
hook
turn
a girl up. Hook a girl up.
So bottom line, what message do we want to send? This is acceptable, and we're not going to do anything. We're just going to, wag our finger and move on, even though you technically tried to overthrow, the legal government of the United States. Like, that's going to be okay. You'll notice the FBI is not taking that attitude towards those who are self-identified with social media and other various confessions in the public sphere over the last week. There's been this pretty swift and serious crackdown, and they're considering very, very, very serious charges for a lot of people. And what we've learned since even Friday, since I was here last, is that, apparently there is good evidence that this was at least somewhat of an inside job. There are allegations that certain members of Congress brought in the day before the attack, the assault on the Capitol, did tours with individuals who were involved in the next day's storming the Capitol, where they were shown the various halls of Congress. There are reliable reports that the people involved in storming the Capitol didn't take, the obvious paths, knew what they were doing, knew where they were going, were very familiar with. Now, this could be a result of planning, not necessarily an inside job, but, a couple disturbing reports today or in the last day, at least one congresswoman who had panic buttons installed in her offices when they got back on Wednesday, after the storming the Capitol was underway, found that those panic buttons had been literally ripped out, unbeknownst to the staffers in her office. There's a number of other things
before the invasion.
Conveniently before the invasion.
Holy shit! I told you, jet fuel cannot melt steel.
Really happened. I mean, that really happened. You've got reports today of the Capitol Police. Who are speculating amongst themselves, and this is low-level anecdotal reports, mind you, but they're speculating that some of the Republican Congress persons may well have been involved in planning this thing. And, this is in light of the new security protocols that they put in place for congressmen to walk into the halls of Congress, involving metal detectors and whatnot, where several Republicans have made public scenes and not being searched and circumventing their own security protocols. The Capitol Police are speculating amongst themselves that the Republicans were in on the job. Not all of them, mind you, but certain Republican congresspersons were in on the job of the storming of the Capitol. So, there's a real... I don't want to sound Alex Jones on this, but there are the auspices here of a true seditious conspiracy that went to higher levels than anyone would have imagined even a week ago, I think.
I have a friend that is really genuinely worried that there is going to be some sort of orchestrated attack on, domestic soil, like before or around the inauguration. Like, I mean, for that very reason, that it's not uncommon for very conveniently nefarious things to kind of all conspire all at once. And I mean, are we insinuating that there's members of the state currently that are feeding at least into the unrest? I mean, other than, like our own senator going there to be there.
But beyond the public statements, you mean that where there are, I think are obvious.
Yeah, like, I mean, I'm really thinking a lot about if I was one of those Capitol Police persons who had to make the decision about what to do as I watch people break down a window in front of me. My firearms training and, self-defense training tells me I gotta shoot that threat until it quits moving, but they didn't do a whole lot of that. And how would it be? I mean, what exactly is the psychology of somebody who's kind of caught in the middle like that, who was obviously set up to fail in a security setting, but not necessarily involved in either side of the argument?
I'm going to post to our live stream a good article on this exact topic. Which
Man, you're good. You come with sources. If this show was making money, I'd have to start slipping you some of it.
Now it's BuzzFeed, so don't get too excited.
No. Are you kidding? That's where most of us get our news.
But
BuzzFeed is a nice balanced source of information.
But the answer to your question is, how do you feel about that? How do you react to it? I mean, it's utter demoralization. I mean, I think that it's totally understandable from a human standpoint that the Capitol Police feel very, very betrayed. by, and this article talks about management. I'm not exactly sure what that means because I'm not a member of the Capitol Police, nor have I had the insight into their exact organizational structure. But at the end of the day, one assumes the people in charge of planning, how the police presence on the day of the certification went, would be in the management group, and the rank and file, the guys that were on the front line, the guys that were either heroes or villains, as the case may be. And I think there's some of that to go around based on the reports we've all seen. There were some that were heroically leading the crowd away from where there were unsecured entry points, where there were senators or congresspersons actively in session at the very beginning of this thing. And then there were others taking selfies with them and letting them go by, even, really sort of tacitly, if not actively, cheering them on. So, some of them, there's speculation in many quarters that some of the Capitol Police may have been, if not sympathetic, or if not involved, certainly sympathetic. But there is increasing speculation and some evidence to back this speculation up, that there are at least some highly placed individuals who may well have seen this coming, known it was coming, and assisted it. I think it was Lauren Boebert, the freshman the freshman congresswoman from Colorado, who's been in office like 8 days or whatever, was literally tweeting live that the location of Nancy Pelosi during this. And on her Twitter feed, people were saying things like, I'm picking up what you're dropping. The allegation being, and she denies it, of course, but that she was actually directing the mob via Twitter in real time while they were in the Capitol.
Now, that was the most powerful statements to me, were the members of the House that chose to speak today that drew on that this isn't something that we're arguing about that happened in our country to our country people. It's something that happened like to us. Like, we were like afraid for our lives. I mean, how different would the situation be if any more of the sort of insidious plots that we've been told were at play move forward? They were talking about hanging Mike Pence and then and executing Nancy Pelosi, and they literally shit all over the building.
There's
human shit and they were literally arresting some of these people. The guy that had the hat on with the podium is doing like 10 years.
He's been charged with, they may increase these charges as the seditious conspiracy details come out, and as they're able to draw correlations between them. I do want to pivot for a minute and talk about Parler.
You know what? That's next on my list. As soon as we were done with what happened today, was so here's the research I've kind of looked into, is that Parler kind of emerged recently as the conservative alternative to Twitter after some of the deplatforming that whatever, and Amazon owned the server space, right? So those are Amazon-owned servers that they were using for that platform, which makes sense because if you're not as big as Amazon, it's very expensive to have your own server space. It's kind of crazy, and it's not usually worth it unless you're a huge place like that, and you're going to start renting it out to other people. So also, they suspended Parler's use of their server space after repeated failures to comply with standards. So it wasn't out of nowhere that this sort of happened, that they just decided they didn't want to mess with Parler anymore, but it was actually, they kept going like, you're not fact-checking your users, you're allowing people to spread violent threats, you're allowing all these things that we don't allow on social media for a reason, because ultimately someone's going to be held accountable, and that wasn't happening. And so it seems to make sense when you look into it why Parler was removed. But what's your angle on the whole Parler thing?
Well, that's incredibly good background, because it's exactly what happened. At the end of the day,
I'm learning.
Yes, I think Google started this waterfall by pulling the plug on the Parler app in the Google App Store. And that cut off whatever market share in the U.S. that has Android phones.
That's
from
like fucking
downloading.
That's like 97 poor people. I don't want to hear it.
Right, and me.
Google Play. Oh, okay, yeah, on your trap phone, on your Motorola Razr.
I've jumped to Samsung because it's the only real flagship variety that I can think of that I know enough about.
You got like a Galaxy?
I got an S20 Plus, but
Ooh,
I'm not here to pimp Samsung material.
I got the 3 cameras, bitch. I got 3 cameras.
I got 4.
Okay. Well, I probably got 2 on the front. I mean, if we're counting the front.
No, we weren't counting the front.
I think a buddy of ours is going to jump on here with us in a minute. But you were saying, so on Parler.
So yeah, the point I was going to make, it was what happened with Parler was it lost very quickly. The Apple pulled it from the App Store as well, which was the death knell for the app. But then Amazon said, we're going dark on you. We're kicking you off. But Amazon wasn't alone. They use all these third-party services, including for security. And all of their third-party services said, we're cutting you off. We're done here. So for a period of time before Amazon had actually pulled the switch, they said they were going to do it. But their security third-party service was totally down. And some ingenious, Nobel Prize should be winning hackers went into Parler and essentially downloaded all of the archive of everybody who had ever uploaded anything to Parler. So this stuff is now, I'm not going to say kids, as an IP lawyer, an IT lawyer, this is a bad thing to do legally, but this information is now out there. And what we've seen in the last couple of days there are some very, very detailed maps and databases that have pictures, who the user was, where they were, in real time location data tied to all of this stuff with videos and whatnot, so that there's actually you can pull these videos together and see a timeline of people driving into Washington D.C. and storming the Capitol and know who did it and know where they were at the time that they did it. And moreover, we know these people are who they are because Parler apparently had this feature that was a true verified patriot feature, where if you uploaded a picture of the front and back of your driver's license, Parler would give you enhanced status. All of that information became available to the hackers. So we literally know exactly who these people are.
It's like the number one group of people, too, that are like, we can't do that. That's how they get you.
Right. Well, this is how they get you, folks.
That's how you got had.
When the lesson for everyone is anytime you trust your data to a third party, your protection, regardless of what their policies are, what they say they do, your protection is only as good as the least competent person on their IT team. And in this case, that person wasn't there anymore for at least a period of time on Monday before Amazon shut down the servers.
Yeah.
So it was, all of this information is out there. It is an absolute goldmine for law enforcement. So anyone who was involved in this, if they're not shitting their pants right now, wondering when the FBI is going to kick the door in, they absolutely should be.
Wow. That's amazing.
It was kind of a shocking series of facts.
So I looked into this also because coincidentally, I'm kind of a fan of the story arc of Alex Jones. I'm not a subscriber to his content. I never really go to band.video or whatever it is that he's on now. But I hear about this because he goes on some famous podcast sometimes and he makes an appearance and it's always a hoot. But he got completely deplatformed, kind of like how Trump has been now, where nobody will agree to do business with him. So,
and yet he's still kicking around.
Well, that's the thing. He has his own servers that they made enough money before he got deplatformed that they could invest in their own server space. But it's estimated to cost tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars a month to maintain that server space. For an operation to maintain their own server space like that, I mean, it's such a burden financially and
I mean, if you're not actively engaged in fleecing old retired boomers based on the sanctity of gold and the best pillows that money can buy,
right? You got to buy the colloidal silver. You got to buy the fish oil.
You're not going to have the revenue stream to do it yourself.
The funniest globalists are trying to get inside your body.
The funniest comment I saw today was the I don't want to call him CEO, some functionary with the Pirate Bay was just mocking Parler for not being able to run a server after Amazon shut them down. It's like we've been running this in boats off the shores of Norway for the last 10 years. And
what's been in boats?
Can't do it. The Pirate Bay.
Oh, you know what? That's hilarious.
It's still around.
That's what I was saying is. That's fantastic. They're literally on boats. How do you have the internet on a boat? Satellites?
I don't think they're literally on boats. I think they use dark web and Tor and some things to continually move servers around. But
wow,
it's the bottom line is the Pirate Bay is making fun of Parler now.
Yeah, that's funny. That's like if MySpace came out and be like, you guys don't even. But it's like MySpace.
I mean, you no doubt saw the various political cartoons of Donald Trump trying to reactivate his MySpace account.
I did see that came through my I saw it somewhere. I saw someone had seen it. I get everything secondhand, like on someone else's Instagram or TikTok or something. It's the death of the real.
Well, that's where we are today. But apparently, Jared Kushner is behind the fact that Donald Trump has not, in fact, activated a bunch of other fringe social media accounts because I guess he probably wanted to, and somehow Jared has the ability to tell him no when literally no one else does. But that is the report that I read today. Therefore, it's the truth.
Wow.
That's sarcasm.
Yeah. Hello? I thought we had a visitor.
I see him.
I see things.
I see that he's on.
I see his name is there. So Al, how much should the average citizen really invest emotionally in the impeachment kind of situation so close to the next inauguration? Whereas how much of it do you think is the grandstanding and the political positioning?
For my part, I think we owe it to the country to see Donald Trump not only convicted, but punished for his role in what happened last week, among other things. But let's limit it to that week. What happened last week? I think that's plenty. And, so I think it's absolutely normal and reasonable to be emotionally invested in this and to follow it. And I think, those supporters of Donald Trump that are still fired up are going to be just as emotionally involved in it and invested in, seeing, perhaps punishing those who see it through or attempt to see it through. We've seen a lot of that in the last few days, certainly, of the threats. So it's not going to go anywhere.
Oh my God, he's going to make me puke.
I'm sorry.
You're doing great. How are you? It's so good to see you. You're not on the live stream in video form, so you don't have to worry about that. But
okay.
I'm going to get your picture up here because I have Al on the live stream with his that we're on the phone with. I wanted to get in touch with you because I wanted to see you both at the same time because I miss you so much.
Are you going to introduce him to our audience?
Yeah. So my buddy who plays drums with Alfred and I, Chris Carden, is on the line. We got the band is back together.
The Yes Men
in this strange new world. Yeah.
Yeah. One night only, and Chris, there's a lot going on that I wanted to get Al on the phone with, and but I wanted to check in with you because we have other updates. Me and Al have been all sucked up in this election and the law. And is there going to be a Super Bowl?
Yes.
Who do you think's going?
Who's going to lose to the Chiefs is the question.
Right. That's the I think Green Bay is going to lose too.
I don't have a dog in that fight. That's boring as hell.
Me either. Steelers got their asses handed to them by the Browns, so that was embarrassing.
So I was going to ask you, how did their season end up overall? The Steelers, our beloved Steelers.
Well, got off to a good start, and then it just kind of went to shit in December and stayed there on Sunday. So
they peaked at the wrong time.
Right. Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah, so describe that for me, because I didn't catch any of that shit. I didn't catch any of it while it was happening. I mean, I heard what you just said.
Right. It started off 11-0, and can't do any better than that. There was a narrative that they haven't played anybody yet. All the crap that you could say about any team if you just look hard enough. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So you feel like they got the shaft.
You played the Giants with their backup quarterback, so that win doesn't count. Well, how's that? They can only play who they're supposed to play. They don't write the schedule. The league does. So.
Wow. So so we got the Chiefs, and we said the who?
I think the Packers.
And who's doing the halftime show?
I don't know, actually.
So
I'm researching.
Oh, he's looking it up? Yeah. Yeah. Joe does not feel like he can contribute virtually, and I'm still technically under quarantine, having tested positive for COVID a couple weeks ago. So he's not here to do any of the Googling. He's listening. Now,
It's The Weeknd will be the halftime show this year.
oh,
Right.
did he really get plastic surgery?
Was that a real picture?
I don't know if that was makeup, if it was a prosthetic, if it was
He looked like the Catwoman that's had like 37 plastic surgeries.
Meg Ryan. Yeah, he looked like poor Meg Ryan.
Yeah.
No, that wasn't Meg Ryan. What is that bitch's name? Was that Michelle Pfeiffer?
No, they both look good compared to the lady I'm thinking of. But should I post a picture
that
to
wasn't
the
Meg Ryan.
Should I post a picture to the Facebook page?
Yeah, put it in the chat, or not the chat. Zach just got here on the guys. We are streaming live on YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook, and I have the multi-stream chat going, brother. It's high tech up in here, so we're just catching up on whether or not The Weeknd had plastic surgery and whether or not we're going to have a democracy come next week. So those are kind of the two things we've covered so far. What else is, guys? Did you get anything good for the holidays? Did you get any gifts that you're really using?
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Al.
Oh, this is great.
I got socks, and they're awesome.
Man, you know what? I really needed underwear this year, and it's been like 2 years I haven't gotten underwear. I had to my washer went out. It won't spin at its full speed, so I have to hand wring all my own underwear. And it's cold water when you hand wring it. It's cold.
I can't believe you do that.
Well,
I mean, I understand that you
I
have
can't
to,
wear
but-
dirty underwear because there's a reason I wear underwear. It's to protect everything else. You know what I mean?
Right. No, I can't picture.
It's hard. It was terrible.
Yeah.
And then my fingers were cold and red. What about you? Did you go to Atlanta?
I did. Yeah. So I did. What I was going to say is my parents got me a Steelers lawn chair. It's still down there, but they're driving up for my birthday, which is coming up.
Yeah.
Happy early birthday, by the way.
Thank you. It's tomorrow. I do turn 30 tomorrow, finally, Al.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. I know.
So
You're done. That's it. I mean,
I'm done. It's over.
Life is over.
I'm gonna sell all my shit, and I'm just gonna sit outside and feed my birds.
yeah.
I mean, that's what I do.
Oh my god! Apparently, Zach's father made him a dining room table for Christmas, like from scratch, probably, if I know the family correctly.
That's literally better than any present I've ever gotten anybody.
Oh, as a gift giver,
Absolutely.
Yeah. I'm not big in making things for other people. I think I tried to like record a song for a girlfriend once in like middle school or something, and
that never goes over well.
And after that, I just can't get hurt like that again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, did you sign the Spotify rights over to her? Or?
No, this was pre-Spotify days. These were that's, you know what? Those are probably worth something. We need to dig those up for like a box set.
I know I mean, you know, if we're going to start from the beginning, let's start from the beginning.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's crazy. Well, I'm actually going to take a short intermission. I'm going to let you both go. We just did about 30 hard minutes, and I have another caller I want to come back with here in just a few. But I mean, we have as much time as you need if we have things we haven't gotten to. I just wanted to kind of begin the transition. Al, what are you're leaning in to say something?
The only thing I was going to say is, you know, I think this is, you know, just to circle back on the things that we've talked about the last couple times, including this today.
Yeah,
you know, it's an emotional time. We all got to be nicer to each other. It's just, we all got to come back to, we got to find a way to get along here.
Yeah, I find it easier when you're social distancing. Like, I'm not going to get in somebody's face because I am not going to see their face.
I wish everybody felt that way because they don't. But
yeah,
I'm with you, brother.
Can I just add?
Please.
We should probably keep this social distancing thing going after everyone's vaccinated. I love it.
I don't need people up in my. I got plenty of germs in my own house. I don't need you contributing. You all live in different ecosystems.
Right.
You know, I mean, we were already communicating with our favorite people this way anyway on, you know, on the Snapgrams and the Insta chats and the hub, you know what I mean? Or if you're getting some like Cameo or some like OnlyFans business, brother, I mean, that's really where the future is.
Sure. Absolutely.
Anybody eat anything good lately? You know what? Shout out again. I just had a smoked chicken leg quarter and some potato casserole from Smoking Barrels Barbecue down the street from me. Coming through again.
I had
There's
a
shout out.
I had a really good pulled pork sandwich from a shop right by work. And
Woody's?
Woody's, yeah. So they
Oh
put the
man,
pulled pork on.
you're keeping that motherfucker open.
I try.
Okay, so describe the sandwich to me.
Pulled pork, sauce, onion rings, coleslaw on Texas toast. Like, get out of
Wow.
here. What?
The Texas toast that's a game winner for me.
That's like a Memphis thing.
Is that Memphis with
Yeah,
the toast?
the coleslaw is a Memphis thing for sure.
Yeah, that's a jam. That's an absolute jam. Al, what did you eat? You don't really eat when you're working. You go like crazy.
My wife has made some very tasty dinners. We had prime rib and pulled pork tacos on Monday, Taco Tuesday on a Monday, but it was sort of leftover Christmas break type, all the meats that we hadn't gotten to put in a taco show, and it was the greatest.
Yeah, you know what? We made tacos this week, and my wife was making her own crunch wraps. Did you see that on the Instagram?
I did. Did she use the two sizes of tortillas to get the wrap fold over?
Well, I
effect?
bought two sizes. I bought like taco sizes and I bought burrito sizes.
That's how you do.
And then we also bought the circular flat hard taco shell, the tostada shell.
Tostada.
Yeah.
It's a tostada.
And those were so good. And then we have these Mexican Dorito things that are like rolled up and they're like really spicy with like a lime afterbirth. And you put those in there and it gives it like a hot Cheeto vibe. And the tostada really adds that corn chip flavor that you need. It tastes a lot like Taco Bell. Oh, we also have Taco Bell fire sauce in the fridge. Like we have the bottle of it.
Oh, nice.
Oh yeah, it's clutch. I think I'm out of Lion's Choice seasoning, so that's usually on sale this time of year. I got to pick some up.
Well, if you get a line on Taco Bell Verde, let me know. I want to.
You know what? I think you can get the Verde in a bottle.
That would be.
But they don't have the Diablo
right
in a bottle. I know that much.
I was never that big on the Diablo. The Verde was the jam.
I do love the Verde. I remember the Verde came out. It was like, that's it, bro. That's it. Verde for life.
You gotta
Except
change it up sometimes, though.
Oh yeah, I mean, I like mixing too. I like the tomato kind of base of the mild, but I need the heat. I like mixing it with the fire, and you get a little of both, honey.
Girl.
Forget about it. Forget about it. Short intermission. I'm gonna let you gentlemen go, and I got to set up for another call. I love you both so dearly. We're taking a potty break. I'm gonna start. I got another microcorg, so I have 2 microcorgs going down here.
All right.
Good talking to you, Jake.
Guys,
As always.
I love you both. Thank you so much. We'll be right
Love
back.
you.
All right, man.
Woo! Oh yeah, we're still here. We're still here. Yeah, so I wanted to start the show today with my friend Al Ludwig, and then coincidentally, while I was receiving my legal counsel on the state of affairs that we're all in together, I a friend of ours popped on. My dear friend, one of my best friends since since oh my god, third grade. My buddy Chris was here. We all play music together, so I wanted them to be able to say hi as well. Again, crazy day today, no matter what side of the fence you're on any of these things, and I just find it so exhausting. Anyway, even if you remove any ideological or political perspectives, I just get so exhausted with the constant crisis and drama. You know what I mean? The whole thing is kind of set up to serve the I don't know. And you know me, I don't ask for a lot. Out here. Our dear friend, who shall remain nameless, is fitting to join us, and she's been with us before, and she's actually the one that broke the news to me today that history was being made again. Another historical. I'd love to have a day that didn't go down in history. Wouldn't that be sweet if we had one? A day that didn't matter because nothing crazy happened. I think we're going to get some coming up. I'm hoping it's not all clean in house when we get in there. I am excited when you think about the prospect of Kamala Harris being in the passenger seat, as it were, on the administration. I'm really excited about that. I really didn't like her as a candidate for president, but as vice president, I'm so excited. As president, she seemed a little too on the payroll. You know what I mean? And I was originally, I've grown up on this. I was originally thinking, you know what? She's a cop. She put people in jail for years for smoking weed, and that's just not where those resources really belong, in my opinion. And now if you're a drug dealer, blah blah blah, right? When things get ugly or violent, of course. I don't know. I have my feelings about the war on drugs. And I think she's going to have an opportunity to correct some of those things. She didn't invent any of those systems. She participated in them. But so did everybody that was in her role in any form of government at that time. So I would have made those decisions differently if I felt safe to do so. Maybe she didn't even feel like she could make those decisions differently. I'm saying I think we need to give some of these people the opportunity to correct some of that behavior. And, man, I really wanted to say the same thing for a lot of people that have been resigning or asked to resign recently. It's I want that for everybody. I want you to be able to correct some of the wrongs you do, which is sort of the problem with completely deleting people from existence. Though that can be fun too. That can be fun indeed. Again, we are live streaming on Twitch, Facebook, and YouTube simultaneously. We also have our handles for Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch on the screen there. We do gaming on this same platform, streaming this same way a couple times a week. And but today, another episode of the podcast, which we like to stream live because I hate the editing part. So the less editing I can do, the better. And just watching the news this afternoon while also trying to work simultaneously, it's been really hard lately. There's been a lot of live news. I mean, CNN was like commercial free for several hours today, while dozens and dozens of representatives made statements. And I keep thinking of over and over again the questions of, and I'm so appreciative of Al to come in with the perspective that he provides to the show, and he's sort of my reference for things. Because again, he, just like last week, and I think he's done this before, when he's on, he will often link us articles and references to where he finds a lot of these insights, and he's a very smart dude. So I kind of lean on him and try to emulate some of that behavior. That's hard though. That's the hard part. Is not reacting emotionally and trying to react with the facts, because they get so convoluted, and people get mad when you point certain things out. People get mad if you point out that somebody's doing something wrong if they like that person, because it's feast or famine around here. Oh! Woo!
It's a birthday boy.
Yes. The countdown has begun. We're about 3 hours, 3 minutes, and 30 seconds out, actually.
Oh my gosh, that's one of my favorite numbers, 333.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, serendipitous.
Quite.
I'm pretty confident in that estimation, too. How are you this evening? I was just telling our guest that you were going to join us, and that you were the one that broke the news to me today that Trump was becoming the first president in history to be impeached twice. And we had my friend Alfred on, who you've heard before. You may have met Al even. And he gave us some of the more technical legal background as to
what we can expect next.
That whole thing, right? But right. I wanted to get in touch with you as sort of the cultural attaché to the show.
Thank you.
And just sort of be as Al, sort of the legal counsel. You're kind of the one of the many visionaries I kind of draw a perspective from. So talk to me about how this is hitting you as a citizen, and also as a parent and as an artist, and just guide me through what's going on with you today.
I got to tell you, I hugged my kids extra hard tonight. I was also earlier today, I witnessed a little girl get hit by a car.
Jesus Christ on the cross.
Yeah, she's okay. But it was
thank
really,
God.
And this was after I'd listened to the impeachment hearings. I'm sorry, the vote, the debate, for 4 hours. And so,
man, I was watching a lot of that too, and I was like, "Is this good for me?"
I heard almost all of it, and I didn't know there were so many fascists in the House of Representatives.
Yeah, a lot of honkies up there. A lot of honkies up in there.
So my nervous system is kind of, let's see, what do I call it? Frazzled?
Yeah, how do you say in English cucumber?
I don't know. I think we're in dangerous territory.
Yeah, I really put some thought into something you and I talked about on the phone the other day, about just... We've seen it happen several times. There's declassified, admitted things that have happened in history where political actors have initiated or allowed violence in a way that was strategic to them. We don't have to point out a specific example. You could go find several, some more controversial than others. So we're sort of concerned about what kind of crazy thing could happen next to impede the transition of power in any way. I don't feel like the president's statement today is cutting it for the QAnon crowd.
Yeah, right. I think the damage has been done, and our democracy is in peril, and it's not going to take much more. It's like a pile of feathers. It takes so long to build up one at a time, the trust and the just building a system that works. And it is the best. I know we need a lot of work. I know that when Cori Bush spoke today, it was so powerful.
Oh my God. When they said, the representative from Missouri, Cory Bush. I was like, ah, Cory's on the TV, y'all.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, that's crazy.
But it took for Trump 4 years to blow that pile of feathers just clear off. I mean, they're scattered everywhere, and this is not something that we can withstand. It will. I feel like we've almost passed the point of no return.
So what? I mean, what does that mean? Like, what could that really look like for our daily lives?
I do. If we're not careful, if he doesn't declare martial law and we have another civil war, which is completely a possibility at this point, over the next 6 or 7 days, if that doesn't happen, these factions hopefully they'll disperse and go back into the fringe. But what Trump has done is made it towards the forefront to make it acceptable to be outwardly fearful of immigrants and outwardly hateful of others, and to cling to these line item issues, just the Second Amendment bullshit, which I find incredibly ironic that a lot of these people are taking their own guns away. They're not going to have the right, after being convicted of their crimes, to own guns anymore.
Well, that's the craziest part, is because that's really the only recourse at the national level for completely removing someone's gun ownership legality is to convict them of a felony, right? Like,
I think so.
And so if that's part of your banner, if that's part of your decree, if that's part of your thing, but then you commit a felony, what do you attribute that to?
You dumb fucked up.
What do you attribute that lack of foresight to for so many of those people that literally shit all over the building that they broke into, and then they get surprised when they get arrested? What drugged them into that building is what I'm saying. Like, what?
Fascism is powerful. It works for people. When you pander to the lowest common denominator and drink the Kool-Aid, it works well. And fear is a huge motivator, and violence, it speaks, and it's become widely acceptable. Our culture, it's not Trump that did this. We're a violent nation. We're the most violent nation since Rome. We have more murders, and look at any of the metrics for how violent we are. We glorify violence. I mean, Sandy Hook, I've been a gun violence advocate, not advocate, like an anti-gun violence advocate since, when I started to turn off the violence campaign in the mid 90s. I just don't think guns or violence can solve our problems. And it's really unfortunate that Trump has brought this to not the, entertainment glorifies it, sure. But these fringe groups are now in the open, marching through and destroying our government. It's absurd. It's absolutely absurd. I feel like I'm in an alternate reality today.
I keep telling everybody that I think, for example, a good fracture point, for example, would be when they chose to shoot Harambe. I think that's when we splintered off into the tier of reality that we're in. Mm-hmm. And I think somewhere in a parallel multiverse is the reality where we didn't shoot that ape. And maybe,
I know you took that really hard.
That was hard. And then David Bowie and Prince died, and and that was that crazy year of celebrity deaths.
Mm-hmm.
And then Trump won the election that same year.
Oh my God,
that was a crazy year.
Really
and there's a version of this reality somewhere where that didn't happen. How much money did John Wick make? I have no idea. R.I.P. Harambe.
Where was that gorilla?
Cincinnati, right?
Oh my God.
I know. That's how
I thought he was in Zimbabwe.
No. It was an American gorilla.
Oh God. That makes it. No, I'm kidding.
So, I think this is the question that I'm getting in the chat is where do you think that infatuation with violence comes from?
Well, we're the largest experiment in world history. We've never in the history of civilization put anybody from anywhere in great amounts in one place. And that produces a vast, rich cultural history of art, dance, music, but also it creates a lot
Cuisine.
of cuisine, all of this, all of the good stuff in the arts.
I had beef
But-
and broccoli for lunch, honey. A revelation.
Congratulations. But it also creates a lot of fear and a lot of mistrust, as we see, between law enforcement and BLM. And I'm not an expert, of course. I'm not a cultural anthropologist. I have traveled a lot, so
Yeah,
knowing-
I can't afford one of those. You're going to have to do in the meantime.
right.
You're doing a great job.
I don't know when we became so violent. I don't know. Like after World War II, we made a lot of policy shifts, and white supremacy really was on the rise, even more so in a more powerful way as corporations, became more powerful, and the haves and the have-nots gap increased.
Now,
But why do we
you
keep?
Why does that,
Mm-hmm.
just in your opinion, why does that increase violence? Why does that, not just poverty, but the juxtaposition of poverty and exaggerated wealth, why does that often lead to violence?
Well, in our culture, where we're taught that everybody gets to have their own everything, and the individual freedoms is the most important value. It creates this, I don't know, ownership of what's mine and what I deserve. I was just seeing in Taiwan, they've had total 70 deaths of coronavirus in their entire experience with the pandemic. They have had 6 deaths, I think, this month total. The Asian culture is very good at the collective. They're very good at, okay, we have to do something for the common good. We need to get together and follow these guidelines so we can all be safe. Americans just fucking suck at that. I mean, we're just terrible.
And it's not because of the information, it's because of who's relaying it to us?
No, I think it's something that's pervasive in our entire fabric of who we are as a nation. I don't think it's we can't. I can't believe when it says it's not totally Donald Trump's fault that the pandemic is raging so wildly in this country. It's a cultural inability to give up certain rights for the greater good. And that's why it's spreading so well, and it's so effective here, because I'm the travel and just the inability to comply, and you couple that with having a narcissistic maniac in the office making shit up as he goes along. It's really a recipe for disaster.
What do you attribute the pattern of narcissism and bipolar tendencies amongst people of that age and that nature? I mean, I know a lot of people that are much less successful but exhibit similar kind of narcissistic tendencies. Why is that something that is so emergent in our culture, where those people really not only seek out but establish places of power for themselves, even if it's just in their own life? They could just be, the matriarch of a family or something. They don't have to necessarily be in office, but
I don't think that's a new thing. I think that's a common old story. We've always had, leaders that are totally corrupt, and we just haven't come across one in America. We've been pretty civil with our, free and fair elections.
I've been trying to read some of the things that the people that stormed the Capitol were posting online beforehand, just to see what kind of things they were into. And the one way that fake news as an idea presents itself is in these kind of fake dog whistle things. There's websites like ObamaWatcher.net where, you know what I mean? Like people are just like pumping out it's like fan fiction, really, of like controversial news that isn't actually news. And so there's a lot of them digesting and sharing that in a really aggressive kind of, like some of them were having a discussion on Reddit or something that that Barack Obama's mother was a CIA sex operative or something, and it was a whole yeah, that's what I'm saying. So and then none of these people have jobs because all the bars are closed, and they can't go throw axes at the local watering hole because everything's shut down. So they retreat online, and they do that. They vape all their weed now, which I don't think is good for you.
No, it's super potent.
And that's, I think, where all those people died with the
Rambles your
popcorn
brain.
lungs too, is the counterfeit weed vapes.
I predicted this in April that, if you have this many people out of work or
brother, Zach is totally saying right now, like what I was talking about is, I think there's a reason why the average age of the president keeps getting older, and that's because the same generation of people are clinging to power.
Well,
and
I think, yeah,
I think they were all poisoned by lead when they were children, because lead was in the gasoline, it was in the fucking air, it was in all the pipes, it was in all the paint.
Paint, yeah.
And then when those people were young adults, that's when those lead poisoned babies became the ones of them that were going to become serial killers became serial killers, and that's why we had all the serial killers in the 70s.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And then now those people are 74 years old and they're holding public office unnecessarily. Do you think there's a reason why we don't cap at age maximums for public office?
No, I mean, ageism. Well, that we do cap it on the short end, with the youthfulness,
and not that if you're 66 instead of 65 that you can't be president, but can't we just say thank you for your service? We want you to take the rest of this time off and spend it with your family.
That's what happened with the Pope. The one before this Pope, he's like, I'm tired, I'm out of here, and they're like, okay,
Mr. Pope.
And I think he was 84, but
hang it up.
Here's the thing. I think conspiracy, I lost a lot of sleep over listening to Art Bell when he was really in his prime.
That's because you were up that late. Isn't that show on at midnight?
It was. And I hosted a radio show for a couple years around that time as well. So I think conspiracy theorists, which are more prevalent these days, and it's not even conspiracy theories anymore because they're becoming so popular, and I wouldn't even call them that any longer. They're just alternate facts is just another word for conspiracy. But I think it's okay to say there are a lot of forces out of our control, and there's a lot of people controlling this world that we have no idea. I get that. I get that we'll never know the truth to so many things, including even perhaps, the election. I do believe it was a free and fair election and that Joe Biden did win, clearly. However, I think there's been people controlling who's going to be president probably since the beginning, and it looks good. The democracy looks robust because people are complying with the system.
Because I get so mad, Joe Biden acts like he's coming to save the day, and I voted for him, so I'm okay with it. But
Right.
But if it was really let the best man win, and if it was really all free and fair, he should have run in 2016 instead of letting the DNC rig it for Hillary and just totally sitting it out. And then he's going to come back. He could have just stayed in the White House. He could have just stayed there. He could have just moved bedrooms, and he could have just fucking and saved. And he. I feel like at this point, it's you're coming to take office now when you're much older and much less capable than you were 4 years ago. But you're also, maybe it's a little too late, buddy. Maybe you could have kept this from happening. But it's the establishment is so rigged and so draconian in their control of things and just maintaining things. And they use these social issues to get us to argue with each other about stuff, and really they just maintain the status quo of wealth inequality. I mean, what the fuck?
And I think that there's a point to that, and I understand that a lot of these. I cannot blame people for wanting to know the truth and for looking at alternate avenues. Unfortunately, the average education level of a lot of these folks is not as high as it could be. His Trump's base, is majority older white men, and a majority of them didn't graduate high school. And so you leap to a lot of conclusions, and you create this horribly open attempt at a fascist regime. And I'm very, very reticent to look forward to an inauguration. I don't fully believe it's going to happen yet. I'll believe it when it happens, and then Trump hopefully will just, fizzle out, and these factions can go back into the woodworks or the fringe again.
Yeah, I mean, people that say he's going to start his own network and he's going to do this and do that. Like, at what point do you think any of that's really true?
I don't think he'll have much success, especially if they figure out. I mean, all of these divestments from corporations towards Holly, just when this is what's scary. The seams of democracy are knitted together so delicately with our brand of capitalism, and our hegemonic cycle, I feel like, is completely ending, because you're seeing the economic, like, the corporations are not believing in the system at this point.
Yeah.
And so when they're fractioning off, and it's like tremors, and perhaps the earthquake already happened, but I'm very concerned that the next 50 years or so are going to be just
I'm supposed to retire in 30.
Well, the world's not going to look the same anymore. Like we did the good old days. They're done.
Motherfucker, why did I go to college?
Well, because you had fun, didn't you?
Not in college.
No, you were too serious.
Well, and it was like it was a commuter school, and
I know.
And we were all trying to be very polite and keep everything super consensual. So it was very, very boring.
Sorry to hear that.
It was okay. I mean, I learned a lot of things. I did a lot of self-parenting.
Yeah, that's a good word for it. I didn't.
Know what I mean?
Was wild as fuck. I got arrested a bunch of times.
Why?
For civil disobedience.
Where?
Good trouble. I was in Seattle for the protests in '99, and then up on Pine Ridge Reservation, and then down in Fort Benning, Georgia.
My new thing is I want to move to Wyoming, and I'm going to lease the back half of my land for fracking.
Oh, well, you know what? They won't like you. Wyomingians.
That's what RuPaul's doing out there. She's fracking.
Oh, she is. Okay. Well, they might like her. I don't know. Wyoming's ranch people are different. They're a special form of conservative.
I want to get a couple of pigs. I want to rescue goats.
Sweet.
I want to get a llama.
Get some alpacas. Get
the real problem is I feel like it's inhumane to just get one of something, because it's going to be so lonely. Can you imagine if you thought you were the only donkey?
Oh my God. I knew this blind donkey on a hillside in India, and every day he would cry. He would cry. He cried every day, the blind donkey. Not only was he the only donkey, but he didn't even see that he was the only donkey. Is that not the most tragic? He was blind.
He was blind, and he was a donkey.
And he was so loud. He cried. I mean, like, this type of crying it was almost undonkey-like. It was deep. Oh, God. And he would go off on and on and on. It was right next to a temple. There's a temple everywhere. But it was just such a lonely little place for him. And he wasn't even tied up. He just lived there.
So what were you doing in India?
I studied yoga for 4 months.
Where?
And Ayurveda. I studied yoga in Dehradun, and in Pune I studied Ayurveda. And then I was all around different spots.
Wow.
I love that country. But here's the thing.
So you were staying where? Where were you living? Where you were adjacent to the donkey?
In Dehradun, I lived.
But where? What kind of? Was it a fucking townhouse? Was it a hut? Like, what were you living in?
I actually lived in a rather sizable house of people that didn't live there at the time. So it was maybe an Airbnb, you would call it, but like a
sublease situation.
Yeah, it was included in the yoga tuition, basically, with the teachers that lived, maybe a half mile away.
Wow. And did you have to carry buckets of water?
No, they had running water. The accommodations were really nice. We even
Oh.
had someone to do our laundry and someone to cook for us, which
I
was
didn't
really
mean to
weird.
assume. One time I was chatting up this Indian gentleman on Omegle, and I said, "Oh my God, your English is really nice," and he got really mad because that was like his first language was English, and I didn't know.
Ay, ay, ay.
I thought it was insensitive to assume I didn't. I can't say anything anymore. Am I
Yeah.
right? Who's with
Indian
me?
English. Indian English. The thing that's weird about the virus, though, is that they shut India down with like 0 cases, in April, and the amount of people who die of other diseases each day in that country is massive. I don't know. Globally, it's scary what has happened with the pandemic, and I'm sad to see it so successful in the United States. At the same time, the force that the control of shutting things down happened globally has also caused this great concern for me, because the suffering that it caused in India was like people were stranded for weeks and couldn't get home or do their jobs. And we're talking subsistence workers. Like in our country, if you haven't traveled, you can't fathom what kind of subsistence we're talking about. We're not talking about, minimum wage jobs. We're talking about really basic stuff.
Yeah.
And so there was this, I guess the phrase that stuck with me was this callous indifference to suffering. And I don't know. I'm sad. The world is a sad place right now. And there don't seem to be very many good answers. But I am hopeful that as Congress starts to look more like the population that America holds, that we can interpret a reality and start making policies and laws that reflect, are more inclusive of our population.
What do you think the next battle is for that? What do you think the next?
Ugh.
I mean, I feel like we fought and hoped for the gay marriage thing for a long, long time, and then it just kind of happened one day.
It
was
really
just,
did.
It was just over all of a sudden. And
Mhm.
there's been some really great issues that we've been able to move on to. There's also a lot of things that are still left to fix. But where do you think, then let's just say we have complete control of the Senate, of the House.
Mhm.
When I say we, I mean the Democrats, which I really don't identify with
Mhm.
on a systematic level, but ideologically in a lot of ways, I guess. Is it cannabis? Is it police reform? Is it education? Is it healthcare again? Do we try to fix the healthcare that we never really fixed so I can finally retire and have a nice country living?
I think it's going to take us so much time to get the pandemic under control and to recover and repair and recoup losses.
I talked to an educator today, a very experienced PhD, who said that she doesn't think we're ever going back to just in person. That there's always going to be a virtual option.
Mm-hmm. I think that very, very much could be true. And we've got to address these children who are losing a grade. Next year we're going to call them third graders, but a very good many of them will still be.
And that's the thing across the board. I have kindergartners who have been virtual since March,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
and who are not coming back this week. You know what I mean? They're still going to be virtual because that's the choice that their family is making. We have a guest with us, the lovely and talented Maida Bell.
Hello.
Good
Oh,
morning,
hey.
Angel. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
We're just solving problems, baby. We're saving the world. We're talking about the future. I am still in quarantine, so my normal co-host has not been with me the past 2 weeks because I didn't. I'm not supposed to have any guests.
Because Rona.
Because of the Rones.
Mhm.
And
Oh my
so,
gosh. What a lonely 30th birthday you're going to have.
No, well, technically, I'm out of quarantine. Today is supposed to be my last day, assuming I haven't had any
good.
symptoms. But, we don't really want to see anybody tomorrow. We're going to cook here at home. It's going to be really nice.
Good.
Yeah, did you take off work?
No, I've been working from home, so I'll be just working
Okay.
from home.
Okay.
But I'll be okay. I'll make it. I did my hard day at work today. I hosted all my meetings today. So that won't be a big deal. And so part of the point of this show was to recreate some of the conversations that I would have at a happy hour that I don't get to have. And lately, the show's been kind of overly serious because the things that are on the news are kind of overly serious. But remember the good old days, guys, where we just talk about fucking donuts or mac and cheese?
Yes.
Maida is lying with the lovely and talented Miss Violet. Puppy's got to be a year now, right?
Yeah, she just turned a year right around Thanksgiving. And actually, we got her, January 25th, I think? So she's been with us for almost a year.
Wow.
She's so cute.
We are bumping up.
V, if you could
Amazing.
have some birthday wishes, what would they be?
I guess that's the thing, right? I really wanna and continue to get healthy. You know what I mean? I've been off the sauce, and that's been really great. Since I tested positive for coronavirus, I've been off the Diet Coke, which has been great because I've also been off all of the adjacent fast food.
Good for you.
Yeah, it's been really good. Hello there, Luke.
Hello there, V.
So, I kind of still, I have my daily regiment with my, cannabinoids and whatnot. But other than that, just mostly LaCroix, a lot of ice. We've been going through ice like crazy.
I mean, that's like some great stuff. Like, because you used to have
Oh, my God.
how much Diet Coke? Like a full
recently-
2 liter.
Well, recently I got it's just been kind of the fountain thing at McDonald's because that's the cheapest, quickest way to get that fixed. But it was turning into like 8 Diet Cokes from there a day. Like it was getting just crazy. And I wouldn't even get food most of the time. I would just go and get 4 Diet Cokes at a time because that's something you fit in a tray. I never got that aspartame poisoning they warn you about.
So you're going to get healthier in the new decade.
Yeah, it's been going great so far. That's kind I kicked the tobacco a few years ago and been kicking the booze, and now not necessarily caffeine, but definitely the diet soda, really soda in general.
Yes.
I've been drinking pretty much LaCroix exclusively for 2 weeks.
What flavors?
Well, I get this 24-pack. We went over this last week on the show that I get this 24-pack from one of the bulk stores, and it's 12 of the lime and 6 of the grapefruit and 6 of the lemon. The lemon is the best one. Really, really good. And it's only like $8 for that 24-pack. So that's like 1 day worth of Diet Coke.
Wow.
You know what I mean? My money
Yeah.
wise, and it's 24 cans of La Croix. And I have my little mini fridge down here.
Oh yeah.
And
Such a cute
I'm gonna
fridge.
get a little ice maker for down here. It's gonna be so litty. I think I'm gonna no, I don't want to get nuts. I'm not gonna run water. Maybe I could do a pipe. I could lay some pipe down here. I don't know.
Oh yeah, didn't you fix your washing machine or something recently?
I completely took it apart.
Tell me about that.
I was in quarantine, and I just noticed that a load of clothes was not getting completely spun the moisture up out of the right way, right? And so my solution was, okay, I'm going to call my buddy Dan that I went to college with because he fixes washers and dryers kind of professionally. Like that's his job. That's what he does all day. He drives around and fixes those. And so he walked me through. I couldn't have him over because I was COVID positive. And I didn't want to put that pressure on his family. You know what I'm saying? And so he walked me through it on the phone, and I was able to do everything except for look up underneath the inner tub because apparently I think I could get it, but I haven't wanted to go back in. One, it sounds like there could be something in between the inner tub and the outer tub. And I completely disassembled everything to get into that point where I could see all around the tub. I just couldn't see into it. And you need a special kind of wrench to undo it. But I have all these, what are like the wrenches that people use for like plumbing stuff to like hold something in place or to turn a thing?
Socket
Ooh.
wrench.
Oh, there you go.
Monkey
No.
wrench?
Monkey
Socket
wrench, bro.
wrench.
It's like a monkey
Oh,
wrench.
oh,
I think if I
Sorry.
used like a monkey wrench, I could get in there and get this thing off. But he's saying you can't do it without the special wrench, so I didn't want to do it. But anyway, so it doesn't get up to its full speed. It really sounds like it's laboring when it's in its initial cycle speed, and it never gets up to where it's really creating a tornado to suck that moisture out of your clothes. So I was just talking about this earlier to somebody. I had to hand wring all of our underwear. Like it goes through the whole cycle. It's completely clean, but then I have to hand wring it to get it dry enough to put in and it's cold water. You know what I mean? In a cold
in the
basement in fucking January, and I have fucking COVID, and I'm wearing my Super Mario pants, and I'm wringing out underwear. I seriously spent $64 on a fucking salad spinner looking thing, like the manual clothes spinner on Amazon. I gotta unbox that. We're gonna buy a washer, but it could take months to get here. They're saying with all the depending on where you get it and which one you get, because supply chain is all fucked up.
It is. All supply chains all over.
So, and then I had this great pedal board thing I had going that I had shipped to me, and it got all messed up in the mail.
Oh.
Took a real hit in UPS custody. So we're in the middle of a thing. Apparently they're going to send a representative to look at it, which makes total fucking sense in a pandemic. They're going to come look at my pedal board. I'm sure that guy's going to know what he's looking at.
Right. He's an expert.
And they're going to come in here, and my cats are going to get all pissed off. They're probably going to be wearing a hazmat suit. I guess I could set it up in the backyard like a gypsy. Can you say that?
No.
You're not supposed to say that anymore.
No.
What would you call them, like nomadic Americans?
There were no gypsies in this country.
What about that show?
According to TLC.
Yeah, what about that show? My gypsy wedding or something.
Which is on TLC, right? I feel like it was my mom.
Either TLC or A&E, or Bravo, or it could be any of them.
You really could.
So I just read this. 2 of Trump's banks have just canceled his accounts.
Yeah, Deutsche Bank is totally done with him. That's where most of his money is. He owes them like $200 million. I don't know what they're going to do about that.
World record-sized personal debt. Trump is bankrupt. Deutsche Bank is now moving to repossess his assets, starting with Trump Tower in Mar-a-Lago.
Oh, yeah, I'd like to see him try. That'll happen.
So,
what a crock of shit. This whole thing. Guys, this is why you got to go to Lion's Choice. You got to go to lionschoice.com. You got to download, not a sponsor. I'm practicing because that's who I want my first sponsor to be.
I've still never eaten there.
Oh, Christ. Guys, for those of you that weren't there, me and Maida on a very special lunch trip took Za to have her first Jack in the Box taco. We got the ranch, and we have a lovely selfie. We all have tacos and ranch, and it's on my fridge to this day. It was a great memory. But Za was like, she was all of 29 years old, and she had never had a Jack in the Box taco. And my thing is, either you grew up somewhere where there wasn't a Jack in the Box, or your parents just didn't love you.
That's the latter for sure.
And so we went in and we wrapped around this young woman, and we brought her to the taco village. She's convinced it's beef cheek.
It's cow face.
Cow face.
There's maybe a teaspoon.
I'm in bands with worse names than cow face.
And it's so fried that it doesn't even pretend to be it's not even crispy. It was just fried.
It is just a facilitator for the ranch.
It's sort of like a ravioli.
Yes.
It's sort of like a beef cheek ravioli.
Yes.
A beef cheek ravioli
with masa. I don't know. I'm hoping that as I'm going to go read my Tolstoy, which is interesting because these stories have played out so many times in our world history, but this if you squint, I guess it all looks the same, but I'd like to think that America is a little bit different, that we can pull ourselves out of this. But like I said at the beginning, I do think we've passed a point of no return, and that our democracy is in peril, and it's extremely fragile right now. And that's what I'd like to leave the show with, that thought. And what can we do as people? What can we do as citizens besides watching horror? I don't know at this point. Like I had some investments with Edward Jones. I took those out this week.
Yeah.
Because of the Josh Hawley connection. You can use your economic vote. I'm not going to go to Schnucks for a while.
I've literally only ever once spent money at Chick-fil-A, and it was literally like 7 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And there's one right by my house, and everyone loves it. Like it's not murder. I don't understand what's wrong with people.
Well, the thing is, as humans, we all do the same 5 things every day, right?
Mhm.
We eat.
That's your big thing.
Yeah, and so we have this in common, and why can't we focus on basic human rights and make sure our people are taken care of?
Because it's all the
Greed.
it's all the it's all the socialists that don't want to work, Zah.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Right? Isn't that what they tell us? Ladies, can you do me a favor? Can you leave me, like, let's come up with a good recipe that the folks could do at home. What's something that you're cooking lately that's really good?
It sounds like someone is playing Plinko and about ready to shout "No whammies, no whammies." What is that noise?
That's our exit music, but it's
Oh shit.
No, you're
Okay. I make lob, which is spelled Larb, which is delicious lately. It's
Okay, so-
it's a ground pork for a lettuce wrap.
Okay, great.
You marinate the ground pork in lime juice for about 10 minutes. And then you put it in a wok with a bunch of shallots.
Do you fresh squeeze that lime juice?
I do.
Any oil in the wok?
Don't need to if you get 80% lean
Because
pork.
it's the pork fat and the lime juice is enough moisture to go into the hot wok.
Hot as fuck.
Like wok temperature, like insurmountable.
Yeah, super hot. Fry it really fast. And then hit it with more lime juice after you're done, a little fish sauce, a shit ton of cilantro and green onion, and some crushed peanuts, and then you put that in a lettuce wrap.
Oh, that'll make you shit like a mule.
Ooh, so good. I
Now,
love the limey pork profile on that.
yeah, Maida, what have you guys been eating lately? Anything decent?
I just made a bulgogi beef bowl.
Walk me through that. Walk me through that.
Ooh.
Bulgogi
it's
beef.
Kind of like the gogi bowl, goji bowl.
Yeah.
The Korean.
There you go.
Korean.
Yeah,
Is that
kinda,
rice or is that noodles? Remind me.
It's
it's kind
rice.
of almost like a salad, and then there is rice in it. So I
Right.
had
That's what
Some
Mary would
butter
get
lettuce.
at Soul Taco.
Yeah, I get that every time too,
Yeah.
with brown rice and tofu.
And it comes in the big wooden bowl.
With an
yes,
egg
that
on
one.
top.
That's
They put an
lovely.
egg on top. Today's National Korean American Day, so it's fitting that we're ending this
Oh,
conversation with a discussion
felt
of
that.
Korean
You know,
cuisine.
there's a surprisingly large Presbyterian population amongst the Korean
Yes.
natives in St. Louis. For some reason, they're all Presbyterians.
Yes, that's in Omaha too.
Really, the Korean
Mm-hmm.
Presbyterian Church of Omaha. Ladies, I love you both. I'm going to wrap this up. Thank you for coming to see me today. And
Happy birthday.
And
Yes,
thank
I
you
love
so
you.
much.
Happy birthday.
I love
Love
you
you
guys
too.
Be safe out there and transform
too.
those lives.
Happy birthday,
Every
V.
day.
Bye, buddy.
Every day.
Woo! Holy God, we did it. Holy Jesus. We did it, y'all. That's another episode of Jacob V Weekly. High five. Follow us wherever you get your podcasts. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Podbean, Google, whatever. You can also find original music by Jacob V and Too Deep on all of your music platforms. Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon, Deezer. You can bang it. Exclusively on Bandcamp, you can find music from my old band Battlestag. I love those guys. It's only there. It's the only place you can find it. You can follow me on Twitter at Malachi Envy, on Instagram at Jacob Allen V. I also curate monthly playlists since May of 2020. I have one for each month on Spotify. Search for Jacob V's favorite songs. You'll find us there. Be safe, guys. Be safe.